Hello, everyone. Welcome back to some Miami University Overwatch esports here on this lovely Tuesday evening. I am back in the hot seat, Xander, Uilas, Lewis, and I'm back with
Elijah, aka Persuasionz. Nice to meet you.
yeah. We met before. But
And
on another note, we are here a little bit earlier for today's stream to participate in the QCC, which we are 1-1, and we are up against Old Dominion University, who is also 1-1. A little bit interesting this stream today is that we are only doing this, and then we do have our scheduled ESC match still against, I believe, Buffalo University at 8 p.m. So this will be really quite a quick match here. I believe it is only best of 3. It is our only best of 3, and we already have our map pick. It is Samoa, and ODU's ban is Cassidy, which is a character that is quite strong on control maps.
yes, it seems like they are actually going toward us, Cassidy, and it seems like now it would be interesting to see exactly how they use this opportunity to get advantage from this. And it seems like even now we're banning Wu Yang, which means that now we're playing into the strengths of what we can do usually, being a brawl, a dive, without needing Wu Yang, most likely needing Juno instead.
Mm-hmm. It's going to be interesting to see what both teams run. Probably we'll see that Lucio coming up for an Alfonso. Like we said earlier, like a few matches ago, I believe, Miami isn't used to the Wu Yang comps quite yet. They are getting there when they can still run it quite well. However, they still need a little bit more time adjusting, but we will probably be seeing some of that Zarya gameplay from Puda Scooter, who it's still, even with the patch today, granted, I don't think there has been any changes. It is still a dominant character right now, but we are going to game here very shortly. We will see that brawl. We will see a lot of that hyper aggression from Miami that they're known for, but we don't really know a lot about ODU. Never even really heard of this school until now. That's the wonder of being in a Swiss type bracket that is QCC, is that you run into teams you really have no information on. So this is the first time really facing them, I believe. So we will see what they going into here now. And we are on the volcano map first, which I feel like, I don't know why, but this is the only time I ever get it is always first. I always get this map first without fail.
If anything, I really like the fact that this is the map that ends up getting in the roster, because now it gets to show exactly both teams how they play from the mid-range field while still giving both tanks a chance to really, show exactly what they can do to synergize with their team on this kind of environment, especially without having a Wu Yang or having the Cassidy from both sides.
Yeah, we do see a little bit of that hybrid brawl coming out from Miami on probably going on that Reaper once again. Yep, Sawyer is in the Sojourn, probably his next best character after Cassidy. But Old Dominion, interesting either, my friend, but Old Dominion is playing this kind of hybrid dive brawl. Genji's Venture, very interesting combination to see here. Oh, Alfonso falling really low already on, also quite low on the back end. Behind have to play this safe here. No bubbles here, but oh, beautiful right click. Barbacuda going a little too aggressive there, and this hopefully will allow Miami to collapse on the rest of Old Dominion.
Yes, now giving opportunity to be able to really engage this. Sawyer is really just pulling out all the stops. He killed the tank even when the tank was over-engaging, and now leading to a full capture by Miami without having to do anything besides maybe just a little bit of middle of battle fighting. And now leaving in a position where they have a Reaper and a Kiri both doing off-angling. This might be going into maybe the 30% marker before we get any testing on the point.
Oh, very good. Very good timing there from On, and Puda Scooter using that bolt to allow On to just engage and bully Barba right down to the ground. On also getting wet as well. Yeah, they're just pushing the spawn, getting those kills, getting that extra ult charge. Not a lot Old Dominion can do when their tank goes down so quickly like that. They just kind of got caught out in that little corner area, and so they don't have enough support to really burst through Puda Scooter's Nax Shard Zarya.
Yes, if anything, I'm really interested to see exactly what Old Dominion has in store. It seems like they switched to a Sigma. I was thinking that they needed more engagement from the middle of the fight, but now it seems that if anything, they'll be having to face what will be a Kasune and a Reaper all coming up soon. I'm not sure if they have the power to handle it, but Sigma handling down the Lucio, leaving us in a deficit, but now in a position where they have to kite back just to survive this fight. And maybe if that, it might still be too late. But both teams putting out their Kasune, leaving themselves in a position where this would be most likely a point battle.
Cooter is 100 charge though, which you have to be careful of, even with the minion having 5 people up. Beautiful bubble saving on there. Grab does come out, and it is massive. 100 charge three in, one right click. Maybe a little bit too much there from On popping the Blossom. I think the fight was already won there. But still, nice job there from Scooter, seeing all of them group together, hitting that Q button, and kind of just clearing out all of Old Dominion. However, the unfortunate part here is that Old Dominion is coming up on a few ults here. Sawyer does have that OC. We'll see if he can make something do with it, but with that Genji up, it's going to put a lot of pressure on him. Trying to find these off angles to do a lot of work here. On trying to go for a little that aggressive play. OC does come out, and there's the beat to cancel it out. But Miami University is close to theirs as well. Up on, oh! Beautiful right click onto the head of Barba, canceling the ult. That was wonderful. And then the blade comes out, but there's nothing he can do with no support there. He was such low health that nothing really came of it. Come on, oh, unfortunate there. But Miami wins the point because of that right click. Beautiful from Sawyer, hitting a straight right click. Kind of a bad play from Barba, kind of just going straight up, kind of telegraphing all of his movements. But very good for Miami with the ult usage. They were on a little bit of a deficit there for a little while, but they managed to bring it back.
Yes, if anything, I really know that they had to use their Lucio's beat just to get into the point, and I know that left very little time where they had to get rid of our back line, especially the soldier, and constantly pressuring their back line from long range. But even with that, I just feel like the aggression from Sigma just was a little bit too much in that moment, especially with not a lot of mobility to kite back away from the Reaper, the soldier, even the Zarya alone, with it being a pretty uneven matchup against the two tanks. It just seems like that was just very aggressive play from Sigma, but maybe they'll have a chance to have a rebound this round.
Yeah, already trying to take this aggressive angle. Went a little bit iffy on that soldier. Don't know if he's going to be able to do. On finding Hat, nearly breaking down Floral. And he is doing it a little too over aggressive there, but they do get the trade onto Wet, which is a little bit of a deficit for Miami because they are missing On, who has that tank bursting pressure. We'll see what they can do. The Genji falling super low. Pooter being so aggressive here. Just barely not able to get on that. So unfortunate. But they managed to find Floor on the outside of the tower. A little bit of a mistake there, trying to run around because the fact that Salty was so focused on keeping Clevin up that allowed Pooter and the rest of the team to collapse on top of Floral. He didn't seem like he had a booster or amp.
Yes, I don't know exactly what their plan was right there. It seemed like right after that it was more cleanup than anything, but they just had the cleanup go for so long that they might have lost about 10% free that they could have engaged. Still a good winnable battle, if anything, now since it's being two hit scan players able to face each other. But it seems like there's a lot of neutral play going around where it was going to be up to Old Dominion to try to get an advantage, but now it's just cleanup next to the very strong close range battles from On being the Reaper. And now with a 3K, I believe, it seems that now they'll be into almost 60-70% before the next fight can happen. Really strong showing from the DPSs right now at Miami.
Yeah, very good there from Poo Scooter and On, and engaging on the Sigma, on Barracuda, just because that's the issue with Sigma right now, is he's so standstill. He has no pushback. And Zarya and Reaper is probably one of the most aggressive duos right now in the game. Just putting that pressure on. Very good switch here from Barracuda. Putting that pressure on just on this backline, sitting there for free. He's nearly up to that Blossom. See what he can do with it. He does not have that level 3 perk. Oh, Bastion as well. We have to be very careful here. He can get bursted down by a Reaper, or not Reaper, Reinhardt, Bastion. And yep, Smash does come out. They do try and counter Katsuna as well. That's what you have to do. On trying to spend here, look for something with his Blossom, but he does burst down the Bastion. That's a lot of pressure off the Katsuna. He can probably just run in now. But B comes out from the rest of the Old Dominion, and the ult does come out from Pooter Scooter. The grab, managing to pick off 2. They just want to end this fight now. They're just going to get these last 2 and just rush forward. Yep, there it goes. Last 2 there for Old Dominion. I don't know if they have it touched because they did stick with the Bastion. Interesting. And they just get melted down. That's the first map going to Miami.
Yes, I'm not exactly. I feel like the Old Dominion was just a bit uncomfortable with their picks because, if anything, it seemed that they were having a lot of opportunities where they could have tried to engage this fight a little bit more often. But it just seems like, for some reason, no matter what, it was every single engagement they had a chance to just kite back or reposition, and nothing ever happened. And then with the second map, it was just a one-man show from On was just constantly getting a lot of picks on their backline, and even during the very last fight where On died with the Reaper ult, it just even got a pick right before the Reaper ult, so it just left them already in the deficit. It was just a matter of ulti at that point. But even with that, it's like, is that enough for it to be a decent matchup with each other?
Yeah, something that came down to that map there. I do believe it just comes down to the level of aggression both teams had. Whenever Miami got a pick, they just rushed it and kept going forward. Got at least two more and then kited back. Old Dominion, we saw them get the first pick a few times, maybe twice on the first round, I believe once on the second, but then they didn't just go forward because they didn't have that frontal pressure that Miami did. Having a Reaper, having a Zarya that can just run forward and go. Meanwhile, you have Sawyer on either the Sojourn. Hey, Cass was in that man, but he even better when I on Cass, just protecting your backline of healers, keeping nitrous oxide safe. And Alfonso with that speed initiating that push. It was interesting because Old Dominion, I don't think they really use speed boost all that much.
Not really. Only to get a beat off on the first round and to re-engage on the very first point capture of the second map. Beyond that, there was a lot of use speed to get into the actual point and then have to wait 5 seconds afterwards just to get another boost, and that, it might have just not been the right strategy.
Yeah, Miami there was a lot better at using that speed boost to initiate fights, to go for the aggressive plays, which does seem to be what we see here a lot from Miami. Their aggression is their main thing. They know how to push forward. They know how to go forward, and their kryptonite is when teams know how to punish that. But a lot of teams don't really know to, because a lot of teams right now have a lot of passive play style, or just try and match that aggression. And it just works out in Miami's favor a lot of times. So we'll see what map they decide to go on to next. I don't really know what they will decide, but until then, we will be going on a little bit of a break while they get the map and bans sorted. So we will see you here in a few moments. And we are on our second map of King's Row. Old Dominion on the attack first. Miami University playing on the defense here. We'll see what both teams decide to do. And now we're playing some Hearthstone. That is a very old picture. 2016 OG Hearthstone. I haven't seen that layout of the map in a long time. That game, I love the fact I play that game just to not have to deal with Overwatch as much. But I get that is my non-tilt game, even though technically it causes people to tilt. But on another note, Pudathur is running that Sigma, which is, I don't know how that good that is going to be into the Barracuda's Orisa, which is going to be an interesting play. On is on Freya. Interesting. I mean, he did practice it a lot over the summer. So we'll see what they decide to do. And Sawyer is on that Sojourn. And Nitrous Oxide on the bat. Very interesting, very high damage comp here from Miami. They kind of have to play careful. They don't have a lot of frontline pressure. So they try and go on a little bit of an off angle here to deal with either On or Sawyer. It's going to cause a lot of issues for Miami.
I love that from an early pickoff on the team, leaving them in a very one-handed deficit where they now have no chance but the kite back if they wanted even an opportunity to get this fight to not be a 30-second stacker. But now leaving their soldier on the high ground, I wonder if anyone will notice it before it's too late.
Cougar definitely knows he is over there. That's why they're trying to do a little bit of an angle here on the left, and while On is up there on the left as well. That's the only issue about playing McCree into a comp with so much range like Miami does. You kind of just get bursted down before you can get into your effective range to deal damage. It causes a lot of issues for Dominion's frontline. Just like that, dead again. It's getting melted by On because of that damage. Oh, unfortunate there from Barracuda. Turning around at the wrong moment. On barely managing to survive that spear. Very good movement, saving that little dash there. Sawyer trying to... Alfonso finding Floral and Clevin also going down. Old Dominion here being a little bit staggered. They kind of had to play just recontest and spawn.
The battle of evasiveness, and it seems that only one team is very good at pushing the objective when it's there, or even getting caught in these middle of the battle moments where one person gets picked off, and usually the most important person. Now putting them in a position where now Sigma has ult before a lot of people, but they have to use the beat just to defensively even have a chance to not have yet another stagger from this. But even with that, it's just not enough to be able to keep this objective going. They have to get a chance to push off this high ground. Otherwise, it will be, a pick off Sawyer. But just when I said that, now they have a chance to really engage this. And now just keep high ground and really show that they don't want to keep pushing.
On popping that ult with the Freya, and this seems to be a little bit interesting here. Alfonso trying to get that ult, but beautiful spear there from Barracuda. And Cooter having to deal with multiple angles here. This is the deadly part of having to deal with multiple hit scans, is he has to take care of 4 different angles at once. He is doing it quite well. May just stay alive due to that kinetic grasp. Alfonso managed to find Salty though. It's the pick Miami kind of needed here. Oh, beautiful rock there from Cooter. Good tracking and timing there. And unfortunately, I think just because that one pick they got onto Salty caused the rest of Old Dominion to just derail. They dropped down from high ground when they really shouldn't have. They could have maybe killed Cooter there. They did have the angles up, but luckily Nitrous Oxide is just playing so far off the point with those lobs of his heels that Cooter just never gets melted down.
Cooter for MVP. These rocks have been saving the day. I think he's at maybe 100% accuracy with these rocks. I've yet to see a miss.
Yeah, I'm playing this top left here a little bit aggressive, trying to get that angle. He's playing Trae, so he has the ability to do so. And Cooter already with his ult again because that fight took so long. Really, Old Dominion really has one good fight here. Beautiful right click from Sawyer with the clear up and also getting Clevin as well. Just like that, this fight's already over for Old Dominion. They're probably down to one more good fight left. And maybe even not even that if they manage to pick off a few more here. Barracuda falling low, Salty also low, but they may be able to get out. Cooter is probably going to pop this ult to be a little bit aggro here to stop them from getting a full push onto point. It wouldn't be surprised me if he does. Especially seeing that juicy group up there from the back line of Old Dominion. Clevin trying to find an angle. Oh, beautiful rock. He doesn't even get the ult off. Like that thing. That might just be it. Oh, nearly got that 3K, but I think that's going to be a full... Jesus, Pooter. Why? You didn't have to do him like that, Pooter.
The devastation from Miami just Honestly, I really hope that Pooter Scooter gets the MVP because these rocks have just been hitting every single hit that it needed to hit, leaving Old Dominion in a position where if they don't kite back, they just lose the person on top of the usual already stagger they got from Sire. If anything, if not Sire, On's Freya, that he switched midway through the game to a Tracer just to give even more advantage on when they realized that they did not have the same Tracer gameplay. Just one-sided overall, putting them in a position where, like, even with that being said, now I think Sigma got two ults during that game, putting them in a very, very huge ult deficit. If anything, I don't think there was one Orisa ult.
And Buddha Scooter is on the Roadhog, which isn't that good of a play into an Orisa, but he will see if he can do it with just the pure Skull. Alfonso going on to Ana, which he does practice a little bit, but Nitrous Oxide on the Lucio is something he's played quite a bit just because Lucio is such a good character and competitive. And then Sire is on that Genji on the Widow. That's the beautiful thing about these two players is they can play their off DPS roles pretty well as well. And as we know, did play that DPS role last ESC season. So we'll see what they decide to do. Pooter Scooter maybe trolling a little bit, picking the Doom, but we'll see what he can do with it.
I'm really hoping I can see a Doom Widow game meta here. I know it's possible. I know there's such a thing as it, but it'll be up to seeing how Doomfist works. The body shot from Widow and leaving them in a position where they have to back up a little bit, but I don't think it's enough. I just think they'll just now be up to this first fight to see exactly which team feels the most comfortable. Who will get the first pick?
On trying to look for that headshot on to Wet, unfortunately not really getting it. But this dive here from both Nitrous Oxide and Pooter Scooter being so aggressive, it forces all the team down and into the hotel or back under the underpass. This is going to be very interesting to see what they do. Sire managed to get Clevin, and then they just dive the back line. This is what you want the dive. You ignore that tank and just go into the back line. Sire, no abilities here. A little bit stuck. And Nitrous Oxide is kind of trolling Barracuda, and they don't get the touch to both Tangos alive and
C9. They had a chance to touch it, and they didn't.
Very good for Miami. They win this series 2-0 against Old Dominion, going 2-1 in the QCC bracket. Like we said, we will not be showcasing the second QCC game today because we are going to do ESC at 8. So after this match, we're going to let the break. This was such a good ult here. And then the rest of Miami just follows up, hitting those shots. Ludisker on the Sigma isn't a pick we usually see all that much because Sigma, I wouldn't say he's that powerful right now. He's probably with Ram as probably two of the more weaker tanks currently because of just how high paced the Zarya is and because Zarya just melts through Ram and Sigma. Orisa is viable just a little bit because of that new perk she got. However, Sigma unfortunately does not have the same survivability as Orisa. And Ram just isn't that good right now either, just because of that weakness he got from the past patch. So now, thanks to that, Miami just picks some off-roll picks here, and they managed to make it work, just trying to show off their little bit of a aggressive playstyle, and worked well. And just that will end our QCC for today. However, Miami will play later. We will find out the results of that, and we will tweet it out after we figure out how they do and who their opponent is. But we will not be streaming that second QCC match, unfortunately. But we will at 8 in approximately, I believe, like 30-ish minutes, I believe. We will be streaming Buffalo against Miami for ESC, which will be an interesting match. I don't exactly remember what we did with Buffalo previously, but I will figure it out until then. So we will be going on about a 30-ish minute break. Stay here. Don't leave yet. Good match coming up. Hello, everyone, and we are here with our match against University at Buffalo, who currently is sitting 1-4 in this ESC conference. And going off a little bit of information we have currently so far, we believe the first map will be Lijiang Tower.
Yes.
But on another note, some information I got from watching our VODs from last ESC season is this is a team we did indeed beat 3-0 when it came around to facing them. I think it was our first match in the ESC conference last spring, I believe. So we'll see what our team can manage to do. So far, it does seem like University of Buffalo has 3 of its starters still at this point in time.
Yes, if anything, now it's leaving us in the position where we will be trying to see exactly does these next new two people have a dynamic change to their synergy, or do they have even less synergy than before? I'm trying to be optimistic and hoping that they have chosen a stronger roster.
Yeah, and going based off that, these are the team members for University at Buffalo. JCV Stealth, who is a returning player. He, I believe, is their tank player and their captain. Apollo Overwatch, who is also a returning player. Azio Dow, who is the third returning player. Eternals, Barcode, Raffi, Roki, and Trae. Barcode is not just like barcode, it's just a lot of letters and numbers. In no specific order, I don't want to read them all out. My apologies. But we will see what both teams decide to ban. I do believe there was a ban already.
Yes, ban on Tracer.
Interesting. I don't know who exactly banned which. I think
I want to say Miami banned Tracer.
yeah, Miami did indeed ban Tracer, which makes a lot of sense. I do believe one of the team members of Buffalo is a pretty high skilled Tracer player, and it is, if we do indeed go to Lijiang Tower, I do expect a specific comp that Miami will be running that they don't really want to deal with a Tracer on.
Yes, if anything, I think that the point behind the Tracer is to just make the other team more uncomfortable than us. And if anything, because we don't need it, we have the Genji, we have the Reaper, we have the Cassidy, we have multiple options. And even if it's not just the DPSs themselves, us banning Tracer removes us to be able to lose any of our DPS players as well that we would have rather had there.
And it does seem that Buffalo banned Zarya, which, if we are going to Lijiang Tower, will shake things up quite a bit, considering Zarya is the only tank so far that Pooter has played on Lijiang. We might be seeing a ball come out, because he has told me he has been practicing ball a little bit. So we'll see.
Scooter Ball.
So we'll see if he decides to bring it out. Don't know how I feel about that. Haven't seen a lot of it in any of the ESC conferences, so we'll see how Pooter does. But it should be entertaining. Those are two bands, and I think we're still getting lobby set up going into game here shortly. But as we said, our team is still the same as you saw them earlier, 30-ish minutes ago, when we won our QCC match. We have another one of those after this match. However, we will not be streaming that. We also do have another scheduled ESC match this Thursday. And on another note, our team will be going to the Penn State LAN this weekend, leaving Friday morning, hoping them all the best, hoping they get at least a few maps in. Probably they will most likely make the second. I believe they are either 4th or 5th seed. I can't exactly remember, but they are placed pretty well. Not the best, not the worst. They did lose, I think, one game, I believe, during the Penn State quals, and they were 3-1. So we'll see how they do. I am expecting some good things, because last time we did go to a LAN, they did put up a very good showing. And this is a LAN I think we have been to before. I don't know this specific team, but we will see how they do. We will have information on our social medias coming out with that and some pictures, hopefully, during the LAN. We will not be streaming on this channel. I do believe there will be a personalized channel for the LAN itself, so keep an eye out on that. But we will be going game here very shortly. Anything else? I do not believe that's it for the Overwatch of this week. Maybe, I don't know. Yeah, I think that's all for it. Overwatch. We did indeed have our Miami's Greatest this past weekend. I hope you all tuned into that. That was very fun. Great time for everyone. Got to interact with a lot of varsity players. You got to see a lot of varsity players cast for the first time, which was most likely very entertaining. But we will be going to game here in approximately
15-ish seconds.
15 seconds.
Slight hiccup. We
now have technical. Okay, we now have technical difficulties. It seems during the custom game creation, we forgot to ban the characters, so they were still selectable, which could cause an issue. But it's a very quick fix. You just exit slot 2 little notches and then go back in. So, Lijiang Tower, no Zarya, will be interesting. First time, I think, this ESC season they're playing Lijiang without Zarya. Reaper probably most likely will still be played, just because Reaper's so potent on this map. McCree also as well. We'll see if University of Buffalo decides to bring out the Sim, because I have been seeing that quite a bit on Lijiang.
The Sim. I wonder if they saw what we did against what I believe was, I thought it was another Michigan with their Pharah. With a Pharah Mercy, if anything. It was a very interesting game. We we had a lot of fun against that Symmetra. And I think they played it the entire time, trying to even force us off of the Pharah, and it was a no-go.
Yeah, I will say Symmetra is surprisingly one of the most powerful characters this season, just because of the roster of tanks that is strong right now. You got a lot of barriers. Zarya specifically having that beam and having another beam as well is just so powerful. And Symmetra as well, the teleporter, by itself is such a huge mechanic, and we are here in the city, and it does seem like Miami University Pooter Scooter is on that Orisa, which makes a lot of sense because that's the problem with banning Zarya is it's pretty much one of his only counters to his Orisa, which is his best character. So now he just pretty much gets to play it for free. Aside from the fact if they do go Sem, he'll have to watch out for that. JCB Stealth is on the Winston. Little interesting pick for Lijiang. Not seeing a lot. We'll see what both teams do. We are mirroring the Kiri and Lucio, which makes sense. Control point. This is like the standard healing comp, and we do have the McCree on both teams. Oh. A little bit of a complaint from Pooter behind us. Maybe that came through, maybe not. We do have a tech issue, unfortunately. Number 2 tech issue. This has been a great start to the ESC match so far. We are 12 minutes in, and we haven't even gotten a point of percent.
Building the anticipation. Really got to make the game seem as eventful as it's going to be. And try to really get everybody as uncomfortable as they possibly can be. But
hearing just Pooter being like he's just tired. He just wants to play the game.
Oh yeah, I can see the frustration in Pooter's eyes now. We got you, Pooter. We got you.
We're here with you, brother. But yeah, we'll see what the technical issue was. Probably was something disconnecting on either one of the monitors or PCs for Buffalo. Apparently, it was a borderless window, which don't know how that changes a lot. It does. I do believe having it borderless windowed does cause frame differences. That it does. The display does change how the frames are. So maybe you thought that would be a big enough deal.
You know, I want to believe that.
I think I know what's happening.
Oh, okay.
When it's in borderless windows, sometimes you click on the monitor, but you can only control the mouse and you can't really turn.
Oh no!
It is a problem, like because I like playing with not windowed, but like borderless windows, so you don't have to hit Windows key to escape it if you're running double monitor setup. You can just drag it. You don't have to hit with the Windows key or the Alt Escape key and then drag it. You can just drag it straight off.
A benefit turned into a downfall on Buffalo's side.
Yes, because what you have to do is you basically have to drag back over to Overwatch and then click, and then you can start controlling your characters. But it can cause some issues like that, which I've had happen before. Very annoying, and it probably wouldn't have been his best effort because I do believe they are running single monitor setups in both our arena and the arena at University of Buffalo. So I believe it would be in their best interest to just go into a normal windowed view. And we are back in game with the main fight here. It does seem that University of Buffalo going to the high ground. Interesting. It probably would be in Miami's best interest to just kind of take the point control round, which it does seem like they're doing. The Reaper is going to cause a lot of issues for himself, though. Guess plays very carefully. Dow already half HP due to some shots from Sawyer.
Yes, if anything, it's going to be what looks like a free capture from Miami, unless Genji and Winston have anything to say about it. But I just don't think there's enough time to engage this on their side. If anything, they might already have to kite back just to get a chance to engage this. But it's too late. The Alphonse himself takes down Winston, leaving them in a deficit now where it is more likely just going to be a bunch of cleanup. And On getting a chance to just get some free ult charge right here.
Yeah, On really not even putting a ton of pressure onto the Winston. He was kind of forward, like we saw there, taking off the McCree. Or not the McCree, but the Kiri. And allowed him to just go down. Trae also falling so low, immediately headshot, and then Kiri to 9, and another shot. It wouldn't be a best effort of Buffalo to just run away quickly here, just reset, because they're already down 1, now they're down 2. There's the third, and this 40% pretty much just gone like that. Here's where Buffalo really has to figure something out here. They kind of staggered a little bit there. And I'm going to be honest, I don't know if Monkey's the best pick here, considering the comp that Miami has running. 2 tank busters and probably the most annoying neutral tank in the game.
Yes, they're having to really force themselves past the Reaper and Orisa, and it's just not working out. 2 first deaths by their tank, leaving them in a very, very uncomfortable position. If anything, High Noon and Kitsune will be much more ahead of the opposing side of Buffalo, and they just won't have anything to respond to this besides maybe kiting back. And it seems like lately, kiting just hasn't been an option. If anything, it seems like as soon as Monkey jumps in, that may be it for the fight itself.
Yeah, it does seem like they're looking for a little bit of a dive here. A little bit of a split push from Buffalo. We'll see how they decide to do. Oh, a little spear. Unfortunately, there is a wall there, Booter. And Xander does come out, going for a big push play onto that backline, missing the spear on that. Right, they're all on that side now, though. Counter Xander rush coming out from Buffalo. Very good. The team is very split here, but Sawyer finds 2 with the High Noon. He managed to get a little speed boost there from Alfonso. Managed to get it a little bit. Probably a double speed boost from the Xander rush disappearing. And then Alfonso. Miami popped 2 ults and won the round pretty much.
A very clean showing from Miami. Just a lot of devastating presence against the Winston. I think the Winston is just being shown as the common denominator of this team because it just seems like whenever the Winston went in for both fights before it got anywhere near 70%, Winston just could not stay sustaining all that damage put against him from the Tank Buster or from the Orisa. And now even with the last fight, even though he tried very hard to be very patient with his jumps, and got a chance to kite from the Kasune. Even with that, it just wasn't enough for his team to keep up, leaving them in a position where even by the time that the entire fight was lost, there was no way to recontest, and now putting them in a 0-1 deficit.
Yeah, we'll see what Buffalo tries to switch up here. It does seem like they're probably not going to change a little bit of combo, which is interesting. Once again, using that TB to get a little bit more of a forward movement does help out a lot. And because both teams, and it does seem that University of Buffalo is switching that Genji to the Reaper, which makes sense. We have a little bit more of a mirror comp here. Interesting diving over Reaper. This is a monkey. But he does get that pressure down because he didn't really have any ammo, so he just had to wraith out. Because you can still lose that duel as Reaper, it's just very hard to.
Yes, if anything, I applaud Winston for trying to get that aggression going, but it seems that it was not, it's all for nothing as he kept aggressing, pushing that button of a Reaper that he just needs time to be able to trickle down on, leaving them in a position where another moment of just staggers and cleanups. But on the other hand, it seems like they're trying to remove getting too much ult charge, but it's just not enough as there is now going to be a very, very high difference between the two. Well, what's going to be between the two tanks, but about 20% difference between the two tanks.
Oh, yeah, there we go. We see Buffalo switching the tank, which honestly, not a bad switch. Diva into Urza is not that bad of a play. That defense matrix can eat that spear, which is very nice for his team. And he can kind of melt down Pooter. As we're seeing now, he's falling super low, having to use speed and spin defensively, which is not a very good thing. It is an engage tool. So we'll see how Miami can respond to this. There's a little bit of a split up on the other side of the point. Sawyer has to play very carefully here to make anything work. There's the spin again. He is saving that fortify for a more dangerous situation. This is a very long fight though. Rush does come out, double KC and rush from both teams. High Noon does come out looking for a little bit of a pick, but he has to be careful. And he gets it off. He managed to deback the Diva. The Diva didn't hold the defense matrix. He may not have had it at all. But both Reapers fall for both teams, but now falls as well because of Uilas' shots there. Now it's just a cleanup without a tank. University of Buffalo cannot really do much, and he tried to get back and unfortunately was killed by nitrous oxide. Still sitting pretty here for Miami, nearly 70% to this win of the map already.
Yes, it just really seems like the biggest difference between the two teams is just how far that each tank plays into their aggression. It seems like no matter how much Diva or from JCV Stealth wants to aggress, he just can't keep that aggression going and constantly ends up in the deficit where it leads to staggers.
Little bit of a control play there, using the ult to push them off the map, using his spin and then pulling them off with the Terror Surge. Funny play there for Booter. They do win the map because of it, because they do push the high nooning McCree off the map, which did allow them to just kind of rush the rest of the team. And unfortunately, beat doesn't save you from falling off the map. So first map does go to Miami. Woody putting up a very good showing on McCree this game. Not the best we've seen him, but he did do very well, hitting some shots here on their backline. A little bit of lag there. Trying to find that shot. Yep, there it is.
You gotta love that kind of aggression from Miami. It just seems that they are in very high comfortability today. It just seems like no matter what they're being faced with, whether it be the ban of Cassidy, getting their own Rosario removed, it just seems like no matter what, they are responding to every single possibility of being able to turn the tides of their chemistry and making it a disadvantage against the enemy team.
It does seem like a major theme of these matches so far today has just been that Miami's been able to play at their own tempo the entire time. There hasn't been any tempo change before with the team we faced for QCC and University of Buffalo. They haven't managed to really force Miami off their rhythm. They're playing at their own tempo. They're going the speed they want, which does help having a Lucio for that situation. Very good there from Miami. They're playing how they want to play when they want to play. And also, the Zarya ban did allow Pooter to just kind of show off on the Orisa a little bit more. So we'll see what University of Buffalo picks for their next map. I do believe, can't remember what archetype it is going to be, but we will see a little bit predictable bans, I do believe, will be coming out. However, the only problem with banning a tank is that Pooter is just so
Versatile.
versatile at all of them, really. He's able to play not all of them at such a high level that he does. He played the Orisa, but he started playing Zarya only like 3 to 4 weeks ago, and he has that at a level already where he's going toe to toe with probably some of the best Zaryas in the entire ESC at this moment.
What should actually scare them right now is that they actually have they keep banning different tanks that Pooter plays, and Pooter keeps playing other tanks at a what feels like a comparatively better level than Zarya. And it's like, okay, you want to ban Zarya. Do you want to face his Orisa? No. How about his Sigma? No. How about his Winston or Ball? Which one do you find comfortable enough to where you want to play against this? And how do you plan to not only match the aggression from that tank player, but also deal with the chemistry of the other players that you didn't ban?
Yeah, and also, like we said, Nitrous Oxide always putting on a show there as Kiri, not really being as aggressive as we usually see him, mostly because he didn't really have to be. I mean, a lot of the work was being done by Pooter and his DPS line. It was allowing him to just play safe, play back, and you get Kisene Brush popping at the same time as the other Kiri. That is what's needed. And Alfonso allowing this tempo because he is playing Lucio, allowing this tempo for Miami to be so aggressive. You I mean, usually what I see from Alfonso is he's rarely ever on healing, if at all. Usually it's only if he has amp, he's using it for speed. Always. And it does seem our map will be Rialto, which is an interesting one. One we haven't seen all too much this ESC season. We did see it, I believe, last week one time. It was a very interesting map considering
Roadhog.
most of our teams did go little bit of picks we haven't really seen. And we do have a little bit of a swap from University of Buffalo. We do have a swap from Osseo to internals, which will be interesting. I think it is a little bit map dependent. That is what a lot of teams who have these wide rosters can do. Is they have people who are much better at certain maps and better than at others. Which we did see a few times during the first ESC season when we did throw in Shocker and Killian in a few times, depending on the map. We haven't really been able to do that just because of different predicaments that our players are currently in, or different responsibilities they have at this moment. So we haven't really gotten to see all too much of Shocker and Killian this semester so far, but we do hope to see them at least one time this season. And we'll see what this switch up for Buffalo can do. Maybe it'll change the tempo a little bit. It is a support swap, so we'll see what they can play. I will Rialto probably do expect a little bit of either dive or Roadhog.
I want to see a Roadhog again. We did so well against that team, and it was we. I think we pulled out a Widow on defense and had a Roadhog on point while the other team was on the high ground with the Diva trying to aggress our backline. So if anything, I would love to see that a team not only figured out what the problem was, why that was a deficit, but can also react to that better by showing that one, they won't leave Roadhog on point, but actually won't keep it going. And if anything, now it seems like they're banning Zenyatta for us. It's a oh, we banned Zenyatta. It's a
Yep,
very confident ban from us. It seems like we are trying to get rid of all that anti health at all. If anything,
anti-tank.
anti tank. There we go.
Let's try not to explode, as that is something that, as you go higher up in rank as a tank player, something I have experienced is that when you go up against something like an Ana Zen, you're just on cooldown and spawn. You will explode. And Zen is a prime cause of that. Something else is that now you don't really play Zen as a defensive tank ult or support ult anymore, mostly just because he has that new perk, the minor perk, where his Transcendence now has an aura of effect with not only healing, but also applying Discord to all of the enemy teams that are around him, which is ridiculous, in my opinion, for a minor perk. Thanks, Blizzard. I love that, playing tank into that. And now we have Buffalo who bans Orisa, which makes sense considering Zen is probably one of the better healers going into Orisa just because it allows you to burst her down so much more quickly. So we will probably see either a Winston or a Diva from Pooter, maybe even a Ball.
A
We'll see
ball
what he
against
decides to
Zenya.
do.
Well, a ball against would be a Kiri
It
Wu
most likely
Yang.
will be Kiri Wuyang or Kiri Lucio. I don't expect a team to not use maybe an Ana coming out from Nitrous. We'll see. The only
Ooh,
issue is if Kiri is open. We really have only seen the Ana come out when Kiri is banned, mostly just because Kiri makes it so Ana can't play the game. But yeah, so we'll see what the teams decide to do. That is we are on Rialto. But we banned Zen, Buffalo banned Orisa. Once again, like we said, banning Pooter's tanks. We'll see what Buffalo decides to do here. And this we are switching sides. I believe we will most likely be, I don't know, maybe attacking first, maybe not. We should be going to game here shortly. I don't believe we have anything majorly still to talk about. Eternals is still subbing in. We'll see what he can pull off. Miami having no sub-ins at this current moment. We will most likely see. I do expect the Genji coming out from either on or
Woody.
even Sawyer. We'll see what they decide to do. Granted, Reaper, if they are playing Hog, Reaper's a go-to pick. It's kind of just a free alt battery for a Reaper if they have a Hog. So, but there is the fact that Hog change with the 2x multiplier. You can one-shot Reapers now, which is very interesting. So we'll see what they decide to do. I don't believe we'll probably be seeing Hog here just because Ana is still open.
Yes.
I'm gonna be honest, Ana kind of derails Hog's whole shtick unless you want to try doing a super aggro type healing comp with Kiriana,
Kiriana.
which I will say, flashing back to Overwatch 2 season, I can't remember which season Maga come out, but that Maga meta, that was dreadful. Because if you didn't have a Kiriana, you just lose the game.
Yeah.
33% of the time. Usually it's a 50-50. If your other healer goes Kiri, you have to go on it. Because otherwise your Maga will explode. Because that was when Maga was so potent and powerful that if you tried playing it into any other tank, you just win. And I do remember Pooter, the amount of frustrating comments he had based on that, because he hated playing Maga during that time. And we do see Pooter Scooter is on that diva for defense, like I mentioned, probably going for that dive. University of Buffalo, JCV Stealth going Queen, which I enjoy seeing quite frequently, especially if Miami isn't running the Kiri, which is a free ult there. The only problem, and also, cast is open, and we're not on the cast, so we'll see what they decide to do. UC Buffalo just trying to switch around their teams a little bit here. On is on that Genji, like we said, just because you have so many these high ground angles you can take as the Genji, and also because, gonna be honest, Widow and these sniper characters are very strong on this map.
Oh yes, these are very long corridors where you just get a chance to get this open frame damage if anyone doesn't stop you. It's just really devastating if you don't get the right time to just disengage off of it or even just get a chance to kite back from it in time. But it seems that Miami is just taking this a bit more passively, giving them a chance to just nickel and dime it while they're giving a chance to go down both hallways at the same time. It looks like one Widow from one side and then the rest of the team from the other.
Just a little bit of a Genji duel coming out here from On and Golf Boy. I believe that is maybe another sub in. I didn't really see it. There is actually quite a few subs in here. It does seem like JCCV Stealth and Dow are the only two I recognize currently. That Widow is trying to find these angles on the healers of Miami. See if they can do it. On just having to control his high ground, not allowing this Genji to make any room here. And unfortunately, Pooter can't really play super aggressive into this Maga just because you can get melted so quickly. On falling really low, having to go find that health back, barely getting him before falling over. Oh, that Widow's in for a little bit of trouble. Pooter is there with On. Yep, there it is. You can't really take those aggressive angles when, yep, Pooter's just walking around corners finding juicy little targets. Getting everything. The Susan comes out a little early there, going right into Pooter there. That was a little bit of a mistake. That's going to be a logistic cleanup there from Miami. Not the best play there from the Widow, kind of causing Pooter and On to get into a position where they could follow up on the Widow and then find Eternals on the low ground already antied.
Oh, very big stagger. They had no chance but to just kite back from that, and now even more devastating than that, they are at a very big ult disadvantage where they have to do a very big swing of a fight for the next fight in order to get a chance to re-engage this back.
Ooh, on flying Dow immediately. I think that may have been a little bit of a one-touch combo there. Eternals does get on though on the backline, but Pooter finding these targets on the left, they're just running into him. Kind of got to be careful there. And yeah, good play there from Golf Boy, honestly. Just trying to reset there is the best bet when you're having to deal with both an Ana diva and a Soj. The best bet is not to give them the all charge. And I mean, it wouldn't matter anyways because Miami is so close to these ults. They're almost to 5 already. And Dow, having made that switch, is only about 34%. We'll probably see a little bit of an aggressive ult here. Coming outside, falling low immediately with those shots from internals doing so much. They kind of, yeah, unfortunately, Miami here just kind of has to back up. Bold Nano Boost coming out from the team. Oh, the blade comes out. Bolt on, but he got picked off by Golf Boy. Oh, Alfonso going off the map there. Unfortunately, Hooter and Knight just trying to plead. So safe. You're missing that. That nade is not in the best interest. Oh, beautiful pick there from Golf Boy. Pretty much nearly 100 HP to 0. Hooter trying to just get back into mech, and he does get the mech back, but he's probably already super low. The OC does come out from Sawyer, putting a lot of pressure onto the Maga. Beautiful, getting it before that cage went down, and it used it. And then another headshot on the page 0. Woody on this Sojourn is hitting so many headshots right now. And Golf Boy going off the map immediately again, just not trying to give him all charge.
The last
Beautiful
fight,
play.
I'm just no words, honestly. Sawyer just carrying the fight right there, putting them in a position where at first they were going to have to recontest the first point, potentially after it was captured, to now being in a position where they're in the very last fight territory with only Genji Blade and maybe OC coming up. Although it's very doubtful with the tank being gone, it's now a matter of just time. They have to rush in this fight in order to even have a chance to re-engage, but even with that, I think Miami might have just given them another time to engage by that by that Wu Ying, destroying them, deleting them before they get a chance to re-engage.
GC himself is going onto the ball to get a little bit of a touch. We'll see if he can get it. Trying to stop him a little bit with just his body. Unfortunately, Golf Boy is coming in here soon with the blade on at 70%. We'll see if he can build it up. Oh, finding that Lucio was very nice. Already half health due to the right click from Woody or Sawyer's Sojourn. Oh, trying to just survive. Beautiful deflect into the head of Patient Zero. And then meanwhile, while it's happening, that Genji tool was happening, Alfonso and Cooter just finished up the rest of the backline. Beautiful there from Miami, holding at first, something you rarely ever see on Real.
Putting them in a deficit where they just couldn't. You know, the entire game of that round felt like it was just a moment of Buffalo having to be in a passive engagement. Every single time they engaged, they had a chance to get a bit of aggression going, but it was just one pick needed, and immediately now they're in a deficit where they had to try to remove themselves from that fight, just completely reset altogether, and they just constantly end up being in a staggering position instead, where they had these 10, 15, sometimes 20-second rebuttals that just never really paid off because of the devastating characters. Now putting them in a position where they have to pull out literally all the stops in order to get this engagement to not be turned over in the favor of Miami, because now they have a full 3 minutes and now they can run anything they need to just to get them off of the high ground. It seems like we have a hog from Miami going back to our 3-0 days, but this time from the attacking side instead of the defending side. It will be very interesting to see how they respond to this. I think they have to passively know that we have a hog and play Ana into it. Otherwise, we have an Ana and they don't.
Yeah, this is looking very good for Miami here. We'll see if they can get a very quick capture here, just because Buffalo is not playing the Ana, which is the main counter for Cooper's Hog, but he does switch off to the Diva because he just doesn't know, and unfortunately they are playing that Zarya. Yep, Cooter sees that and immediately turns right back around. Back into spawn onto the Winston, but then he probably didn't see the Reaper, and he may be hearing it now. Nope, he does come out. He is going to play into that Reaper and the Torp, which is deadly for a Monkey. Golf Boy managed to find a double shot on Desire. Miami are already at a deficit. They really have to play careful here. They're not staggering any more than they already have. Hooter needs to get out of there. Fortunately, that Reaper is putting so much pressure on him. Same with On, and then that kunai through Hooter. It seemed like hitting On in the head. Now, yeah, good play here from Miami. Just kind of waiting. Not wanting to stagger, and On is switching. Yep, we see a full switch up to the Zarya comp of Miami, realizing they can't really play this like hybrid dive into with the team that Buffalo is having. And now that they have the Reaper, they have a little more aggro on the point. Look at that already making 2 people fall really low. And the side is on a little bit low though. Man, that Zarya is so much higher charge than Hooter. It's causing a lot of issues. Already using that Suzu and that TP. Patient Zero falls down. That's not the best play there. You can't TP directly in front of a Reaper and a Zarya like that.
now putting them in a position where they might end up being in the second to last, if not last, fight territory. They need to really get a chance to disengage this fight, especially without their carry, putting them in a position where they literally just can't hold this on. And now with a fight going on in the background between the Torb and the Soldier, now being supported by the Soldier. Oh, I was going to say by Miami, but it seems that now they will be having to reset because there is a deficit from the tank health availability. Going to be most likely being about 30 seconds knocked off the clock, but even with that, there's about 4 fights left. All it will take is just a little bit of disengaging from Miami, and then it will be another fight coming, this time with more people available.
Yeah, another double stack there from Miami. University of Buffalo is using these ults and these positionings very well. And we have a pause coming out from Buffalo, I think. So we'll see what they decide to do here.
Yes.
Very well played by Buffalo so far, I will say that.
Yes, I did not expect that to be such a quick turnaround. They're starting to adjust more, and I actually like that kind of stuff where they had opportunity where they could have immediately had to be a downward spiral where as soon as Kiri died, they couldn't they couldn't kite from the stagger fast enough. They get picked off too early. They get put in the position where they just couldn't take advantage of that disadvantage, and they reneged the advantage by getting not only a kill on our Zarya, but also getting a graviton on our team, now putting them in a position where they had to kite a second time, potentially from incoming damage from the bottom floor and not even having high ground anymore. Now putting us in a situation where, if anything, even though we have about 3-ish fights left, before we had a good 4.5 strong fights, putting us now in we're in a very close deficit where it takes about 2-ish fights to get an ult charge going, if not maybe sometimes 3. And now we are literally at that cusp where if anybody wants to switch, this is the time they need to do it. If they want to get an engagement where they can get their ult charge from a 10 to 20% deficit, this is the time period.
Yeah, Miami has a lot of work to do here. Unfortunately, being on those 2 tanks caused Pooter to be at a deficit of his ult charge compared to Stealth there. Stealth got his ult nearly 40% earlier than Pooter because he was on that monkey and then on the diva and then onto the monkey, which caused him to be on the ult deficit. And now Buffalo already 2 minutes down for Miami's attack and already have 4 ults on the board still. It was just the diva ult that came, or not the diva, the Zarya ult that came out. And now Miami here having to build their own ults to try and get a little bit of a re-engage. We probably will be seeing the Kitsune Rush coming out from Miami, though, with this next fight. I wonder what that pause was for, though, considering that Buffalo we're on the winning side of that fight there.
Yes, it was another frames issue. First borderless windows and now just the frames itself. But we are going back, hopefully, to see a very aggressive side from both teams. Miami trying to come back from a deficit, and it seems like Buffalo's trying to push the aggression and keep the advantage going.
And we are going back in now for this fight. Miami are having to just recontest and losing those 2 to that ult. And we see the ult deficit from Miami to Buffalo and 4 to like maybe 2. And we do see an aggressive play here from On, getting rid of that turret, which is very nice. But Poota's getting knocked down immediately. Right down. And for good timing there. All Miami falls over. Very good pick there from On. And I think he does catch a little bit of a wave with Sawyer, which is very nice. But that was another ult there from Buffalo and another fight won.
Yes, now putting us into the last 2 fights territory, and they only had to use 1 ult to do it. Now making us very well. Now with a Reaper ult to renege to that. Ooh, a trade. We lost our support, but they lost their DPS. Getting a chance to really push this aggression going, but without the DPS to have our tank buster, we are just now in another pushback deficit. If we can survive, if we can have maybe potentially having ult charge, beam charge, but now just gone in the second, thanks to the aggression of Stealth, putting us into the last potential fight if this fight goes on a bit too long.
Very good control there from Pooter, not hitting that Q button when there was 3 people in front of him because he saw that the rest of his team was just dying to the multi-core. Honestly, a little bit over-aggressive there from Buffalo, popping 3 ults, and they really have nothing to really stop Miami now here. Oh, they really got to keep Nitrous Oxide up. He is their heart of their support line right now. On trying to go in for a little bit of a messed up teleport. They just want to burst down the Zarya. That's what you want to do. Ooh, falling super low on this low HP and just not dying thanks to the support there. Sawyer does fall down thanks to Patient Zero, but now this is going to be rough here from Miami. Sawyer really has to come back with this OC. He has to make something do with it, like we saw on the defense, because as you see, University of Buffalo so close to like 2 ults here. Nitrous Oxide also very close to having his Kitsune Rush. The Torb is going on that high ground. They really have to play this carefully on trying to see if there is someone on that high ground. It's going to be something, have to be something really big here. On finding Patient Zero that quickly. That's a huge pick from Miami. The ult does come out though. Beautiful move, knocking down him as well with the grab. Come on, hit those shots, Sawyer. He does miss a few, and that's going to be really unfortunate. That's 3 down. It's just on. And unfortunately, Buffalo wins game 2 against Miami, taking Rialto. Such a good hold from them. It was just a little bit too many mistakes there from Miami. Sawyer put up such a good showing there, but not being able to pick that Zarya before him and Alfonso kind of ruined the situation there. Allowed them not to be able to cap.
Yes, putting us in a very odd position where, like, because of these like tiny staggers, we were in the back burner, which was a little bit interesting considering the fact that on Lijiang, we were the aggressors. We were the ones that put them in the position where they couldn't get their tank going. And now in this same position, Pooter was on the one that was on the back burner. Pooter was the one that was having to re-engage after getting killed first in the fight, and now it feels like it's a battle of the tanks, it feels like, which I like. I feel like even though it was a great performance from Sawyer, it was the sustain of the cooldowns from Zarya on Buffalo's side that actually kept their aggression going faster than that. It was that last bubble, that very last bubble that Sawyer just didn't have the rail gun overclock for in order to even need to, without having to at least reload at the very least, which that kept the Zarya going even longer, and then the side fight going on with Nitrous against the other Kiriko. Just a lot of different tiny little things that just overall resulted in just a downfall of that last overtime fight.
Yeah, we'll see what Miami decides to push back on that. That was a little bit of a heartbreaking loss for them. I feel like they did such a good job on defense and not being able to push it there. Kind of a little bit rough there from Miami. It does seem like a lot of that has to do with just ult economy. It feels like if Puder would have swapped onto the Zarya maybe a little bit earlier, not try to go onto the monkey, maybe worked a little bit better. And we do have a little bit of a pick there from our team. We are going to Servasa, and we have banned Torb, which makes sense. Torb is kind of annoyance for flex DPS players like On. It was causing him a lot of issues, even though on the Reaper he can burst down that turret, but also the Pooter Screw is able to do so much more work, not having to deal with the okay. And then we have another sub in for Buffalo where they are swapping Golf Boy in for Trae. We'll see how that works with the team. I mean, the sub-ins there for Buffalo worked quite well during that map. They're now 1-1 in this series. We'll see how Miami comes back. Servasa is one of Miami's best maps, so we'll see how they do.
Yes, on one side, I actually appreciate the versatility of Buffalo to be able to keep these switches going. And now that they banned Zarya, it seems like for this next fight with Servasa, they might even have a chance to like really get this aggression going against their opposition at this point. If anything, the tour is the only thing that caught me a bit off guard. But thinking about it from the flex DPS perspective, I can definitely see how the aggression from Torb and his turn becomes a bit annoying when you're just trying to keep the pace going of keeping that area that you have selectively held down with all your aggression, but you can't really do that if you're having to worry about one angle, another angle, and then not even worrying about the other DPSs that and the supports that are engaging on you beyond that angle alone.
Yeah, I think I may have put together why they decided to do that. Is now that hearing that Trae subbed in, maybe figured out that maybe they wanted to run that Tracer, because you remember we did ban Tracer, I believe, first map. I think, and Buffalo here banned Reaper because we allowed them to get that DPS ban, which I mean works out. On can just play Genji here. I mean, his Reaper, he has gone out on the record and said he doesn't really enjoy playing Reaper all that much. So we'll see what they decide to do from Miami here. Servasa is probably their best map. We'll see what they do. Banning the Zarya from our team, it does make a little bit of sense though, because they probably wanted to be able to deal with the Tracer. Because I mean, Torb Our team can indeed play it, and Torb just kind of makes Tracer non-existent, makes it so you can't play the game. So we'll see what Buffalo responds with, and we'll see how Miami responds to losing that map before. A little bit of a crushing defeat there, not being able to push it just a little bit further. So we will be going on to a little bit of a break here while we get into the lobby in a few. Oh, never mind. We are almost going in a few seconds. Okay, never mind.
It is
I
time.
was wrong.
It is going to be fun to see exactly how Miami responds to this fight, because you would think that like those little moments right there on Rialto would be potentially a bit emotional wrecking for teams where they're just like, oh, we just almost had it, and this one little thing we had to fix. But it feels like that might ignite a bigger fire for them, where they got shown, hey, we will ban your tank. We will keep trying to go for your tank. And even if we don't go for your tank, we're going to make you uncomfortable in some way, shape, or form to try to make your team less optimal. And even with that, I don't believe that is enough, but it will be much more within Miami's comfort to not have to deal with that Torb anymore. Even though the Zarya is gone, it's not as if it's the only tank pick we have. And if anything, I feel like it just leaves more room to be able to showcase our Tracer strength, which even though we don't always need to show, it's not a problem to have, exactly, especially with a Cassidy who can one-shot the Tracer and the Kiri who can just two-tap half the roster.
Yeah, we'll see what they decide to do. Trae is on that Tracer, like I mentioned earlier. It is something I predicted, and on that Genji, something he's very good at. Jordyn is on the Orisa, which honestly is a better pick into this Monkey, I believe. And it does seem like the University of Buffalo is trying to go that little left angle. We see Trae on this long flank going around where Miami's side of the spawn is. They got to get that Monkey up high ground, already about half health. They see that Tracer in the back line. Good, they notify themselves. They know he's back there. Ooh, Monkey solo, maybe a little bit dash there. May have been very good there. However, losing patient 0 like that to Nitrous Oxide kind of derailed Buffalo's whole attack scheme. They have no healing, really. Lucio cannot put out enough healing to keep his whole team up. Barrett trying to be a little bit aggressive here on the side of Miami. On falling super low, that boop nearly got him killed. Nitrous Oxide trying to do some work. Pryor does pick off now, that's a big stagger. But the point's gonna catch. Oh, a little bit. Oh! Sawyer!
Can't really, you can't, if I was Buffalo's side, I would not hate that engagement. The first engagement, maybe because Winston just couldn't get the aggression going, had to stay high ground, and even in a position like that had to just kite back in order to even just remotely survive. But that second engagement, it was just one-sided from Miami, as even though they were almost close to capturing it, it wasn't a full contesting, and now putting them in a position where this might be the very last fight, but this time without a chance to re-engage. And this time, even with Winston being gone, now it's 100% more of a guarantee that unless they can get rid of Pryor, this is just it.
Very good hunting down that Tracer. That is probably their problem child on the side of Buffalo. Picking off Dow as well. That's the issue of playing Monkey into Orisa, is if you're facing a good Orisa like Hooter, and he hits his spear, you get speared, stunned, kunai'd, immediately booped into the wall again. Like, that is such an aggressive play. Miami won that point without any ults, and we do see a switch from Buffalo going into Queen? Into
Trying
Orisa?
to over-aggress this, forcing a Queen versus Lucio B, and not just don't like that measurement right there of aggression. They have to force the Lucio to potentially be out of the fight entirely just to get this to be a successful engagement. And even with the ult economy difference, this just is more toward Miami's side for at least the very first fight.
The only thing I'm wondering here is just the fact, yep, there it is. Sawyer picking off Queen so easily. Beautiful stun. They're hitting 2. And just a cleanup for Miami. I honestly don't know what Buffalo is doing here. I mean, going Queen into Kiri, which counters your ult. Orisa, which with the spear counters your pretty much your whole kit. And then Sawyer on Cassidy, which is probably not, but one of the best, not even if the best DPS to play into Queen, just because you have the stun and you hit her so easily. So it is interesting to see what Buffalo's trying to do here with this play. I don't really understand the Queen play all that much on trying to get this hunt down. Destroy a beautiful flick shot there. Managing to pick him off. Oh, very big ult there. Gets a beat off just barely, but they're melting down this queen. Trying to stay alive. He just manages to. Wonderful there. Good job from the healers of Miami. Alfonso and Nitrous putting in work, keeping Pooter alive. And we do see a big switch up here from Buffalo, switching onto Uilas. Very interesting healing comp there. One we haven't really seen all that much during this ESC. And it does seem like Miami here, look at their ults. They've popped one ult, 2 points. This is showcasing Miami's great ability on Flashpoint here. They know ult economy, they know how to rotate ults effectively, they know how to rotate cooldowns effectively, and they just know great positioning on this map specifically. This is why this map is one of their best, if not their very best.
Yes, the same thing they got done with Rialto is the same thing they're doing that they did on Lee Jang, and the same thing they're doing on Servasa, but this time with them completely in a one-sided battle.
Ooh, maybe a little bit of misclick there from On. They do manage to get the trade onto Dow. Big beat there, saving Sawyer's life, and then the counter ult there from both Alfonso and then the Sawyer picking off Queen, immediately giving his stealth down, and that boop kind of just wrecking his whole day. That was wonderful there. That beat saved him, and Sawyer managed to clean it up. It was unfortunate using 3 ults there to just cap the point once, but we do see Buffalo coming up on 1 ult, really. Maybe 2 with the Tracer. See if he can get this pulse bomb very well. However, Nitrous Oxide has to be smart here. You do not want to use Suzu before you see that Queen ult come out. This is going to be a lot of mind games between Nitrous Oxide and Stealth here. Sawyer falling really low. Gotta keep him up. That Uilas is doing so much work. There it is. Where is Suzu come out? Or yep, Suzu does come out, saving Pooter's life barely, but both DPS of mine already fell, unfortunately.
You know, I just hold this for as long as I can and just reset. But it seems like Nitrous wants to hold it. I like that. Keep it held.
Oh, I just want to get a little. Azan was very smart from Nitrous, touching just before caps to get that extra bit of percent, because we saw all of Buffalo thought he was gone. They went forward a little bit, and he managed to touch and allow like about 8 to 10 more percent to be capped. And we see Miami coming up on some ults here, on getting off that Genji, going to Tracer. Not a bad play, all things considered. And Buffalo here is coming up on quite a few ults now, though. It's going to be, all this is going to be in Buffalo's hands, and Miami's just going to have to play very smart.
I was going to say they should force the objective with Tracer, but now that they have a, well, it was going to be a deficit, but now being into a deficit of on the side of Buffalo, as they just don't have anything to keep their their Jungle Queen alive, and now resulting in potentially going to be the very last fight. Have just enough time to re-engage with the help of, well, I would say Lucio, but they need to force the They switched Lucio last second with the hope of trying to switch to it in time, but I don't think it's enough time. They have one player that they can have touch, and they're just not going to get anywhere near the playing time, resulting in the 2-in-1 Miami having to.
Yeah, Miami winning that point already. Very nice there. This is one of their best maps. It makes sense why they picked it. Woody showcasing his immense improvement on cast, especially as we saw, I think, in that first point, hitting a beautiful headshot. And this situation we see the Queen being in on the right there is the exact reason I was so mystified. Beautiful headshots there from Woody. That scene we saw there with that Queen getting pushed in that corner, speared gold form from Pooter, and then also just spinning him into a corner is the exact reason why I was wondering why he even went Queen in the first place into a triple counter. I'm just like, I was wondering the whole time. His Queen, while managing to win the point, pretty much got fully negated by Nitrous Oxide just hitting a button, and then the ult from. And then Pooter just kind of running him over every single consecutive point after that. That he had to play so safe. You had to use Shout as a survival tool, which is not something you want to do as a Queen player. You want to use that as an engage. Get in, get out. And use your Carnage to be very protective and get some lifesteal. But unfortunately, that just didn't work in Buffalo's favor. I don't know what they were really all that much thinking playing Queen into a comp like that.
Yes, I feel like they were very uncomfortable with that matchup. Maybe now that we will be having our next game be King's Row, that they have a chance to re-engage this with a little bit more coordination together. But if anything, it just feels like their initial plan was to use the same plan they had for Lijiang, a good old-fashioned Winston, but it just seemed like no matter what they could do with that Winston, things just weren't going well. They kept having to kite back last second after doing their jumps. They kept having to reposition the entire team faster because the Winston was just so far ahead of them to the point where it was literally Winston versus Miami. And then now with the Jungle Queen, yes, you are in a position where, thanks to the nearest minor buff, you can actually get a chance to re-engage this fight with a little bit more ult sustain, since the Jungle Queen's ult does not allow you to be stunned. But even with that, that was just nowhere near enough. You had too many counters to go against you. You had too many positions you had to cover by yourself, let alone the other pieces of your team that were already having to fall behind you. But now this is just a big one-sided match where it just feels like they need to get a chance to get it together.
Yeah, and we are going on to Kings Row, and we have information. Buffalo is banning Cass to try and allow. I don't know if they're going to run Tracer though, because Trae did get subbed out again for Golf Boy, and then Eternals, I believe, got subbed out for Ossiao. So we'll see what they decide to do here. This is a little bit different comp than this is like a combination of the two different comps that Buffalo's been running a little bit. We'll see what they decide to do on Kings Row. Kings Row notoriously is not the worst map for Miami, but it's not one of our greatest. It is one they're pretty decent on. So we'll see how they decide to run it. Seeing how we can't ban Zarya anymore during this entire series because Buffalo banned it on first map and then we banned it third. Just because, I mean, very smart there from Miami doing that because it allowed Pooter to just kind of bully the tank of Buffalo. It allowed him, because really the only problem you have as Orisa right now is Zarya.
Yes.
Because it causes you all the damage, goes through every one of your abilities, and banning that allowed Pooter to just run free because all Buffalo's other tanks are so hard countered by Orisa. And banning the Cassidy for Miami was a little bit of an issue for Buffalo as well. Being that tank buster, putting in so much work. But now, on another note, On can now play Reaper again. So we'll see how that works. So, and then apparently we banned Kiriko, which leads me to suspect one thing. You can probably guess it.
Kiri, Ana.
Nitrous oxide Ana will most likely be coming into the fray. And that will also allow a lot of Miami to play much more aggro this map. Without that Kiri, though, there at all, it will also force Alfonso most likely onto the Brigitte, which, I mean, Brigitte onto Kings Row is not that bad of a play because you kind of have to be that defensive support for your main support because, or your flex support, just because Ana is so valuable. The minute Ana falls, half of Miami's offensive capabilities disappear.
Yes. Unfortunately, I don't think there's going to be any issue with this. I've always feel like Brigitte's a half and half pick, where it's either the devastating pick that wipes the entire team out, or it becomes a bit of an issue in terms of the economy of healing, at least in terms of the main healer role. I know that the ability to sustain is always strong, being the supportive version of Reinhardt, but being able to hold your own forefront, the ult itself is just destructive, but the situationally optimal reasons to use Brigitte, I'm still trying to funnel around, but I feel like Miami just has a great synergy with this Ana Brigitte to where it just seems like there should be no issues at all.
You'll be going to game here shortly. We will probably be saying at the start, because it is Kings Row, that a Widow from either team, depending on who's attacking, coming out at the first, trying to get a little of a pot shot, because we've seen pot shots like that before, causing teams to just steamroll first, which first is probably one of the hardest points on Kings Row to cap, just because if a team knows how to play it well, they can just hold it down so easily. I remember back in Overwatch 1 when there were still two tanks, Kings Row was one of the hardest maps to cap first because Treehouse was a meta. Double Shield, Sigma, Orisa, Bap, Brigitte. It was ridiculous. And we do see University of Buffalo on the attack first. And we do see that little bit of a Widow, as I said. And we do see the double Zarya come out again, just because if Zarya is open, you're kind of forced to play it. University of Buffalo, though, not playing the Ana, which I think will make the difference for a lot of this game, because that anti will cause a lot of pressure. And Wuyang for both teams, but having Brig Wuyang, once again, very interesting support comp from Buffalo. On that little of a side, On has to play very careful. Same with Sawyer, that you don't want to get pot shot by this Widow. And Dowd is a pretty good shot. He was playing McCree, and he did hit a few nice pot shots in that previous game. So we'll see how they do.
Yes, they get a chance to really show their stuff, and with this aggression that they're showing right now, they are immediately pumping on the gas. They are trying to show that this is not something that they are opposed to at all. They want to try to show this aggression. They want to make this uncomfortable. And now they get a chance to have it even pay off. Now with the Brigitte getting a free pick on the Reaper, and now getting a chance to even take the high ground, where Miami just has no choice but to slowly kite back and maybe re-engage in the next couple of seconds, but it just is not enough to have him do right now.
That's the only issue with Anana into Azari, is that the bubbles does get rid of the ante, which is going to cause a lot of issues. Oh, I know, maybe a little bit of a sleep, that was unfortunate. Ana and Nitrous Oxide just on high ground, stuck there trying to deal with this Reaper. And they do, I think, yeah, Pryor is going for that touch, and he does get it. He does play very safe here. He has no more bubbles. They need to burst down this Reaper, who's doing so much work. The rate does come out. Pryor falling super low, but he does get picked off because he's just getting melted by the DPS of Buffalo. And that's just going to be a cleanup. Oh, maybe a little bit of a stagger here. Yep. Smart from Buffalo, very smart. That was a very strange sleep and that went through, and Nitrous Oxide did get staggered there. Other unfortunate part about Anand is you're a very, very easily stagger character. And yes. Buffalo capping that kind of single-handedly. And we do see the Genji being smart. Golf Boy just sitting on payload, pushing it. And Sawyer now onto the Freya. Not a bad pick. All pretty good pick into this. Granted, Golf Boy is going to be a very much a nuisance.
Yes, I can easily see this Freya being the thing that's needed, because I can easily see how this Brigitte, the strength of Brigitte keeping the team constantly sustained beyond just having to have a Reaper battle. But now, thanks to Pryor, it will now be a chance that they can get a chance to re-engage this. If anything, a little bit, not enough aggression that I just saw from Buffalo coming from them again, but now forcing them to be now back in the back burner. They had so much aggression in that beginning point, but what?
A little bit of a misclick there from Eternals.
Oh no, a Brigitte ult used in spawn. I know it wasn't intentional, and the ult was gotten so fast into the first point. Very unfortunate. We'll see how they respond to this next game.
Oh, they don't like On. He got instantly grabbed and he came out of range. So Sawyer falling down as well. Pryor does have this Trae up. I don't know if I want to use it. Nitrous Oxide did cut out again. Probably in Miami's best effort to back up and re-contest at that corner where they have another free touch. Man, they're being so aggressive on the side of Buffalo.
This is the aggression they needed. They could have had so much opportunity to do it at first, and then they just left Zarya to have a 1v4 battle. Now it seems like they got their groove back in the mix as they are all pushing together now, but just not something they want to do yet, as they just don't have a reason to yet. They can just keep pushing the point, but now it comes back to that moment where they can do it if they just get a chance to engage, putting the Dow back on his feet as he gets a chance to have Zarya re-engage this and take all the time that they needed to have this be a second point capture, and now back into a position where they have about 6 fights to go, but still an advantage of Miami temporarily.
Yeah, very good there for Miami. Mercy Buffalo also popped the Blossom. They're in the grab, getting melted down. Unfortunately, Miami popped 2 ults to win when Buffalo only popped 1, but they do have the ult advantage, and Pryor, we've seen, is so good at building this grab up very quickly. On needing to be a little bit careful. He is getting melted down by that Zarya quite frequently. Oh, nice ult there, catching, I believe, the Genji with it. However, nothing really came of it. Sawyer not being able to find a pick because they did drop down so quickly. The blade does come in with the tide there. Managing to pick off Wuyong is wonderful. We see it. We do see the Blossom out, but he gets melted down because the bubbles are so strong. They may be able to pick off the Zarya. That's what you need to do. They're so down like that. They need to get that break. Golf Boy managing to find Sawyer, but unfortunately, he now falls to Pryor's foot, and it's going to be a cleanup here, most likely.
Stagger? Oh.
Yeah, Pryor here just existing on point without the other Zarya there to challenge him. He's just able to run free. And Dow getting melted down early as well. Very, very unfortunate. We'll see if Eternals doesn't pop ult and spawn this time, hopefully. It'll probably change a lot of things for this next fight. Pryor coming up on another grab soon. On nowhere near to his boss because he did pop in that last fight. That's the unfortunate part playing Wuyong also, is you hard charge Zarya so much.
minutes, I really think they have a chance to get this engagement going. They have the position to do so. And now they just have to really keep this Brigitte constantly going without ever getting a chance to have the kite. But it seems like, unfortunately, this Brigitte is not having enough. But the Reaper...
What happened there was Sawyer. They may have updrafted it. Done. Big grab coming out from Scooter trying to melt him down. He has so many in there. They're so low, but he has no support. Unfortunately, Microsoft can't do enough there. He didn't have Nate off cooldown. Very unfortunate. They do have the Nano Boost. Maybe a little bit overzealous that Scooter popping grab there, but he wanted to try winning that fight because they didn't want to go to third point this early. Now they have 2.5 minutes on the side of Buffalo to cap this fully. And we see the grab coming out soon here from Stealth. That's put a lot of damper into some things. Probably will see it coming out here. Yep, on again. The minute he gets out of the Wraith form, and then the ults come out from Miami trying to just force things from Buffalo, and over here just melting through them. He does have another bubble, so he can take this fight with Stealth. Very nice there from Miami. 3 ults, or no, 2 ults used there, full support ults. However, Buffalo did pop grab, which might as well count as 2 ults, I feel.
One strategy I've been noticing from Buffalo side is like they've been very good at these staggers. It's not very common for teams to do it, but they have really been keeping Nitrous from 2 separate engagements just in the midst of the fight for much longer than they needed to, where they were just keeping them as long as they could to see how long of a stagger they can really push with it. Not as long as the first one, but still very credible.
Unfortunately, they're on missing some shots, having to back off that high ground. And now Dow's so low. He doesn't have, I don't believe he has Wraith, but he did get that buffle, which did help, and it seems like both Zarias are at full charge. Scooter having another grab already. Doing this so well. He just hit the grab, but I don't know where it went. And then that ult comes out, ult's coming out from Buffalo, trying to just melt down Miami's side. Scooter trying to get rid of this Genji Blade, but Sawyer managing to find Eternal is just finding this kick. They tried looking forward and they just got melted down because of these shots. Even with the Brigade.
Yes, really what was once a good 2-3 minutes of fighting they had is now turned into the literal last fight. All due to these very, very long engagements that just seem to at once go from just being a very long stack to now going to nothing, where it's just constantly moments where they just constantly having to pick back up from what they didn't get the first time. And now having 2 ults to try to rely on, but now having to really force them, and now without a chance to get it done thanks to Pooter getting a double kill and Sawyer with his early pick, they might be into this might not even be a touch. Yes, it will be a touch, but there would not be a clean touch. It will be a very, very messy touch from the Zarya. If not, potentially not at all. Not at all.
And we do see, they do go Lucio trying to touch there. Did they get the touch? The Blossom does come out from on, really hitting nobody because they just had so much speed on the side of Buffalo. They do melt down Eternals, and now there's Blossom. It's causing a lot of issues. 2 picks there. No way. There is no Wraith on that. Oh, huge! But he doesn't get it. But it is only 2 on Buffalo. Miami can recontest here, and they do have grab coming up on waiting for the touch, waiting until the rest of his team can really spawn. However, that's causing a lot of Buffalo to come back soon. He gets melted down, and unfortunately, the Bola does not hit anyone. The grab does come out. They have to try melting just through that team. Wu Young does get pulled as well. We really just have to get rid of these healers. Another grab coming out from JZV Stealth. They gotta keep Pooter up. If they keep Pooter up, this will change a lot of things.
3 seconds.
Alfonso falls, unfortunately.
1 second.
The wave does come out, but On is back with another retouch. He has to contest here. Such a high charge Zarya. He is just circling the payload. But unfortunately, the rest of Buffalo is back as well. They have nothing. It's very messy that right there from Miami. They just couldn't kill the healers there. Because both DPSs fell around the same time, and the missed bowl there from Sawyer was very unfortunate. The only good thing is, because this is hybrid, as long as Miami cap with about a minute, they get basically a free second attack, and Buffalo gets not attack at all. And we do know that Miami is a much more attack-focused, what in the world? Much more attack-focused team. So we'll see how they decide to do. Okay, we're going into the depths of space.
Love the side map going on. Let's just love the side map going on. But no, it was a very good, strong showing from Miami. If anything, the missed grab and the missed bola seemed to be the very last downfalls of that round, forcing them into that overtime capture. If anything, the individual
Where are we?
playstyle, it just feels like I'm getting thrown off by these out of the map picks.
Are we in the back rooms? Like,
We are literally at a new game of watching.
like what?
I'm not sure, man. Metroid.
Metroidvania.
No, I believe they have a good chance to re-engage this. Dow, just a very strong Reaper. Just took away both two members of Miami immediately, forcing Zarya into a very hard engagement that they just couldn't win with the close range battle going on. And now, thanks to potentially a Sawyer pick, we might have a good chance to even do the same thing that Buffalo did, getting a free headshot off of Zarya, but potentially that's about it for now.
And they do have that aggressive play. They are using the Juno to get a little more of a speed in. Booter falling low already. He doesn't have enough bubbles, but may cause a lot of issues. But Onman finds down. Alfonso does get picked off by Golf Boy, though. He has to play a little bit back as that high charge Zarya is causing a lot of issues. He has to play very safe here. He does have that speed ring, so he can be a little bit aggressive. Oh, that Zarya's being melted so quickly. Beautiful from Booter Scooter. And Nitrous Oxide playing Juno in a way not a lot of people see it for. They use a speed ring and then he just plays aggressive. He starts shooting the enemy team. Juno is not a character that does a lot of damage, but it helped out so much there.
Yes, the power of support, not healer. I've always enjoyed the meta that can bring about when you just have to force yourself into a position where you just have to see beyond what is the norm. Having a chance to re-engage by Buffalo, but just a bit to no avail, as it was just the last second, not enough people to just engage this together. Now potentially going into a second stagger from the Zarya, if not enough time to back up, maybe.
They really need to get these three now. Oh, I would be surprised if we throw out a grab right here.
Oh,
very good.
It's time. Oh, not needed.
Nope, not needed. They're already so low. They didn't really have enough support besides the turtles. That's a huge stagger on the side of Buffalo. Miami's going to be able to get this corner and probably even the next corner for free just because they did that trying like last stagger touch with the Reaper and the Wuyang. However, we do have to mention that University of Buffalo has a lot of ults coming up. Same with Miami. We're probably going to see an ult fight here soon.
Yes, they actually what worked for Buffalo the very first fight when they were attacking was staggering our Ana, but it seemed like we didn't even need to intentionally stagger them, as they staggered themselves by just re-engaging on a fight that they had already lost.
And Wuyang coming out from Buffalo, do hit the grab, trying to stop it. Beautiful grab, hitting 3 people, I believe. And then Booter falling super low, but he's just existing on cards. He managed to grab a health pack. That's a 5K from Booter Scooter with the help of Nitrous Oxide, using that speed ring, and also Alfonso using that Inspire, proccing that so much, giving him so much health with those packs.
Is this going to be a potential 5 to 6 minute point capture? There's no way for them to touch it anymore. They have no Lucio. They might have a Reaper touch, but if they were to engage right now, Reaper would not be up too late. They have 5.5 minutes, and now having multiple ults they can engage on.
Oh, that's a very unfortunate grab, and in Blizzard. Yeah, Booter Scooter is going to get melted. That was a very good combo from Buffalo, using 2 very powerful ults to win a fight. However, because of that, Miami didn't pop any ults there, so they kind of had this next fight for free. Buffalo is nearly up to the Blossom, and Eternals nearly to the rally. And because of that, On has to play very careful. He does not want to get both Reavers have to play very careful. They don't want to get stunned out of their Blossom.
This fight actually working in Miami's favor, as now they have 2 ults that they get out of the way just for capturing the point, and now potentially working to a fight where, I wouldn't say where they're going to force themselves to get into this, but now thanks to Juno's ult, they forced themselves through anyway. Now where it was a chance to have the Reaper ult versus the Juno ult, but the Reaper ult just nowhere near enough to sustain against that Juno ult. And now putting us into potentially the last fight coming up, depending on the amount of people on point and how many people can aggress these high grounds of Sojourn and Reaper at the same time.
That is a fight I like to call one in the Overwatch. There was so many ults happening at the same time. Both rallies were popped, and I saw none of it because there was just so much happening on that orbital ray and the Blossom. Booter are so close to this ult. This OC has to be big from Sawyer. They could win this right here. Get us to this point. OC does come out. He has to find a shot. He is charging this Sawyer quite a bit though. Yeah, they do get the mate. Very nice pick there. They have to play this carefully though. There, the Wuyong is all. There it is. Wuyong does come out onto the Reaper. They have to play safe here. He does have grab. He should save it and just throw it at the door. Just use it to stop them from getting to the point. The Reaper is top right. He's gonna go for another touch. Most likely. Yep, and instantly falls over. Grab on the point, and it does pull in the Tracer, allowing them to pick their own. That's very good. But the grab does come out from Buffalo, but they managed to kill down before he can kill anyone in it. Beautiful. Nitrous Oxide. Nitrous Oxide staying outside of the area of effect of that grab allowed him to be safe and protect Alfonso, not allowing him to die. Allowing the proc rally one more time, get that burst of healing, destroy Dow as well with that shield bash and hit. And now we just right now Miami can either win or draw.
A very strong showing from Miami right now. You know what I thought was going to be something that was going to be a quote-unquote meta pick or a meta idea was going to be the same way that Nitrous Oxide got staggered by University of Buffalo, that Miami was going to do it back. But they didn't even need to do it. They forced them to do an even bigger stagger with multiple people. If anything, forced the Zarya to feel comfortable with engagements that they just didn't have the people for after they had already died and visibly in front of them. And if anything, now because of this, if anything, they might be in a extremely high chance of having this be a capture from their side. I know they may have to potentially, from the looks of it, deal with a Torb and a Reaper and a Ana all at the same time, but considering how well Nitrous has been performing with these engagements on top of Zarya, on top of Sawyer, on top of On, this might just be a one-sided show for this round.
We'll see. Weird turret placement on the side, but it's very nice location. Sawyer trying to look for this pot shot onto that Torb. I wouldn't be upset if he just stays Widow, because honestly, they're playing a very good team to run Widow into. However, they do switch it off because we can't really find that many angles if they don't have time to waste with the comp they're playing. They want to burst down this Reaper so bad. Already at such high charge for Booter Scooter. Playing so careful. He does block at that anti-nade. Oh, already beautiful pick on finding Patient Zero, and that Reaper's in such a bad position. This is just a steamroll from here now. Patient Zero falling like that, and now Sawyer falls to stealth. Unfortunately, it's just a clean up.
Just a lovely show from Miami. A free win right here, just from that one pick that just couldn't be stopped, thanks to On. Just an absolutely dominant showing from Miami. Yes, there was a moment on Rialto where they had to work around an engagement where they were constantly on the back burners from their own plan. They got back on the seat for this one and showed exactly why they deserve to be in this competition.
Beautiful there for the Scooter. He played Sawyer so well that map, and honestly, smart switch from Nitrous Oxide going to the Juno instead of the Ana. Ana's much more of a defense-sided character, I do believe, and Juno, he plays the movement of Juno so well than anyone else I've really seen in this conference so far. Granted, Juno's not a super top-tier pick right now because you do get melted down by most hit scan DPS. However, in that situation where you have those close streets, you have these corners to duck into in case you were getting shot at. That was beautiful from Nitrous Oxide, using his ult super well, keeping Alfonso and Pooter up so much, and On finding these wonderful death blossoms, getting these angles that you wouldn't really see. And also, I have to shout out Sawyer performed beautifully this match, and he hasn't had any of his problems we saw in the past few matches of him going in and dying randomly. He does get picked first, usually most fights, but that's also because he is probably the easiest character to pick on the entire team. But just because Reaper has those 2 get out of jail free cards, Zarya is really hard to burst down. But very nice there from Miami. Now 3-2, looking much better, having a positive side. University of Buffalo being 1-5. I don't know if they can really get back into the ESC conference where they have to figure something out. Very good match there from both teams. A good fight and bait from Buffalo. Very entertaining to watch.
Yes, if anything, I'm just very impressed with Sire. Yes, I'll admit I do see that they do die a lot during the first engagements. But even with that being said, I enjoy that slasher playstyle where you can just show that no matter what, even though there's multiple different fights going at this angle and that angle, that you can adjust to it and you can be that flanker on a position where no matter what, they have to worry about you. They have to consider you a threat. They have to worry about if they don't ban your characters, what will happen to their defensive strategies, their repositioning strategies. They're strategies where they are trying to even combine ult with another ult. It just seemed like no matter what, if they did not focus on Sire, things went downhill. If they tried to focus too much on Tank, it went downhill. They had to compartmentalize all their efforts into every single person evenly to where no matter what, every single person on Miami was a threat. And that I appreciate. I feel like I enjoy seeing that level of dominance from Miami where no matter what, even when one of your teammates gets given a slightly bad hand where they have to work around with what they got, that is not all that they have to offer. That is not the only strategy you have to worry about. That is not the only issue that makes you have to get a chance to get an advantage from this engagement. If anything, it can end up working in a disadvantage by inadvertently making your team have to work harder for play styles or compositions that you may not even be accustomed to.
Yeah, beautiful strategy there from Miami switching on that Juno. Wonderful gameplay there from both teams. Buffalo looked much better than they did last ESC conference. I will say they do seem like they're up and up. Maybe not this season, but next season they may be a very good contender. So we'll see how they improve over time. However, Miami, this will be the end of our stream. I believe University of Miami, our team still has one more QCC qualifying round to play against. However, we will be done with the stream for tonight. We will be back on Thursday at our regular scheduled time of 8 p.m. for the next ESC conference match. We will see you then.